Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lore Galore. I'm Caleb.
Oh, sorry. And I'm Cole. I thought you were gonna introduce me.
Nah, that's not how we do things here. Alright. So we are going to be reading The Lawless Frontier. This book is from the Forsaken campaign, talking about the different main villains from it. The Barons of Uldren. Anything to add, Colby?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
Alright. In the Forsaken campaign, just so some of you guys know, we are introduced to a new enemy called the Scorn. And they're basically kind of like the dark fallen, corrupted fallen. And these barons are Scorn. And the Lawless Frontier will talk about kind of like the story of how these barons became Scorn. But let's begin this. Page 1. These Bad Lands. Don't fool yourself. These rocks and this metal may be lashed together, but they ain't tamed. This far out. The only law is outlaw. The only justice, last rights. So walk careful, head on a swivel, hand on the hilt, all that, 'cause that glare you feel is the narrowed eyes of ill intent aimed at your honor, your heart, and your head. And know this, your every step is set upon blooded ground, the whole of the shore. This is a wasteland built where a few sought to survive. In the dim light of a lost age, this wild frontier was a fleeting hope turned final resting place, a graveyard at the end of existence. Some say you can still hear the screams, echoes of the lost and damned ringing from just out of sight. Don't believe them. That's just the stretching and bending of the supports, old metal moaning in the celestial breeze, the grinding of scrap and stone calling out, giving warning. These tethered lands be not safe, this twisted reef be not kind. Excerpt from C.C. Lagrange's translations of writings and observations from the Tangled Shore, a fallen text. Alright, Colby?
There's a little more to that.
Oh, there is? There's no way that's a direct translation. Said by the infamous Cayde 6. Is that it?
Yeah,
No.
that was it.
Alright, your turn.
Why thy tongue be damned. Page 2. Even here, the whispers persist, faint but present. Excerpt from C.C. Lagrange's translations of writings and observations from the Tangled Shore, a fallen text. A drunk fell, left to die. A forgotten pirate set on the path toward salvation. His crew had raided the moon looking for ether. They found only death, and then he was alone. Hyrax the small, Hyrax the timid, the weak was... Hyrax the timid, the weak was lost to the depths of the Hellmouth. A solitary scavenger down among the hollows where dead things dwell. How he survived is a story untold, an impossible tale known only to Hyrax himself. In that secret is his strength, for poor, weak, pathetic Hyrax came out of that hell as something other, still fallen, still alone. But changed by all he'd seen and learned, his mind opened, set adrift to the wonders of all the nightmares he had never imagined. Some say he spent his time hidden in the shadows of that cruel land, scouring the mysteries of the world's grave. Others suggest he peered into the hateful shrine and found truth and the unutterable horrors whispered from the abyss. Truth is, only Hyrax knows. Truth is simple as it is puzzling. Yes, he did. Scour the grave, hear the whispers, only then could all that fall for drag rise from their dock and to stand as a baron is rare, but that a fallen of any stature could crack layers of understanding that barricade the known race from the ascendant plane is more than improbable. It was impossible. Until it wasn't. For Hyrax succeeded where so few have. He crafted his own throne world and began a monstrous quest to expand his knowledge, etching its harshest truths upon his enemies. At his work progressed unchecked. It is his name the children do not speak when sharing tales of the haunting of Nemesis. It is his blood that paladins and corsairs alike wish to spill for the slaughter of Gaspra. Hyrax the Twisted, Hyrax Ascendant, the mindbender whose tongue is a weapon, whose experiments seek to unravel sanity and reshape imagination that his subjects may become other tools of his vile being. And so the warning spread. The fallen who speaks in the language of the damned calls, do your best not to listen, for once his words take hold, your will shall fade, replaced by its antithesis. And then, like that poor fallen dreg, you too will know darkness. You too will be alone.
Page 3. Riddled with lies. Trust is your shield. Trust is your weakness. In the end, we all fall betrayal. Excerpt from C.C. Lagrange's translations of Writing and Observations from the Tangled Shore, a fallen text. A simple riddle for you to consider. Only truth can conquer lies. But what is truth? And in whose eyes? What then of the butcher of Bomberga? What then of the Psyche Horde Slayer? The terminus of the Grey Legion? The silver of the Shadowed Vale? The bandit of Old Bassa? The dire siren of Valion's Reprieve? What then of so many who are one? A single scourge, responsible for many varied tragedies. The trickster, the liar, silver-tongued Araskes, the wit. She who bartered with the spider and nearly cost him his life. She who swindled a dozen bounty hunters as she alone made profit. So many tales of Araskes' sleight of hand and tongue and mind. The enemy who has won battles where no battle was fought. Who has killed more rivals than have ever risen to her challenge? What is known and unknown, none can say, and the sly prankster would have it no other way. Of all the barons marked by scorn, it is Araskes to fear, for her greatest weapon is a dissolution of truth. She will give you certainty, only to reshuffle the deck. She will grant you your desire, only to reveal it is truly regret. If this realm can allow for gods, then she may be the first among devils, unknowable, unpure. Her tongue will cut you down long before your body falls. If you don't believe, if you find yourself questioning the depths of her deceit, ask yourself this simple question. Did you kill her? And if you did she die? If the answer is yes, her trap is set. If your answer is, It's okay. You don't have to say it. Maybe you will survive out among these wild shores longer than most. Though maybe not as long as you'd like.
Page 4. Anguish. Tenfold. Be wary of those who would do harm, yourself included. Mind that you do not become undone, for once infliction is tinged with joy, you are not but a beast. And are we not more than that? Do we not strive for better? Excerpt from C.C. Lagrange's translations of writings and observations from the Tangled Shore. It was Rexus Vaughn who saw to the final days of the House of Wolves. With cold hatred, he hunted and slaughtered their servitors until nothing remained, and thus a rabid house did fall. But Rexus Vaughn's rage was not sated, as the wolves alone were not the architects of his fury. All fallen who clung to the ritual of house politics were his enemy until total and complete. It is told that he was starved as a young drag. He watched in agony as others grew strong while he and his closest brothers and sisters were kept low. They were unworthy, pathetic, unwanted. But Rexus was ever aware. He saw the lie of the Archon's worship. House servitors were revered upon a pedestal of godhood as a means to control the masses. Maybe there was a time when the fallen theology was one with greater concerns. No more. Houses fractured, at war with one another. Old places long since neglected in favor of a more desperate purpose, survival. While cast low, Rexus found strength in his growing hatred, only when he found common disdain among those twisted outcasts who would call themselves scorned, who were their hated derision as a badge of honor. Did Rexus also find an outlet for his anger? His new brothers and sisters saw great value in his unchecked aggression. They were all a bit mad in their own right, all a bit twisted. Towards insanity, Rexus's mind and intent were clear. The agony of a terrible death was his aim, the target of his wickedness, the very servitors he had been denied, the very machines that had sustained the fallen. He would tear and slice and rend their metal until their hissing deaths rang across the shore. The reef, the entire system. He would make all who do not stand with the scorn barons feel the anguish he once felt, tenfold. And he would do so gleefully, washing the life drain from the res.
Page 5. A blind eye toward tomorrow. They who draw mustn't always draw first, for it is not speed that kills, but the eye, keen and sharp. So then, do not feel death. See it, know it, and it shall manifest upon the trigger's embrace. Excerpt from C.C. Lagrange's translations of writing and observations from the Tangled Shore. Pyrrha, the phantom. Pyrrha, the blind. The fallen baron with the all-seeing eye and the cracked shot. The awoken link him to the legend, the ghost of Hellrise Canyon, believing it was Pyrrha, and Pyrrha alone, who haunted the winding depths, picking off intruders and holding off corsair raiding parties, as his fellow barons planned their violent reign in the maze of caverns near the canyon's heart. He was unseen during the Wolves' uprising, but many credit him with the assassination of the Queen's palace guard. None can verify, but each fell to a single shot, clean, precise, fatal. But how can the blind pirate who had been discarded and scorned by his house become the deadliest shot this side of Mars? This is where the Baron's true strength hides. They are each a devil worthy of your hate, but together they are so much more. Not simply devils, but hell itself, manifest, angry, and aggressive. Rumors and legend merge to tell of the machinist's expert hand, the rifleman's cybernetic eye, and a link between his sight and the tracking systems on his rifle. What he sees, he hits. What he hits, he kills. There is evidence of Fallen giving themselves to technology, becoming other, becoming more, as they marry their physical selves to enslaved mechanics. The mercenary Tanix is one example. More machine than Fallen now, an abomination in the eyes of traditional Fallen belief. The Splicers and their augmentation through Siva, a twisted experiment brought low by the mighty hand of the Heroes of Iron. Is Pyrrha any different? The Barons and Tanix and the Splicers are each and all individual dangers, driven by their own ambition. They are more likely to wage war with one another than see their commonality. Yet, are they not of a kind? Are they not evidence of something greater wending its way through the Fallen's dying culture? Are they not the warning signs of a new terrible evolution? One can only wonder, and hope, these horrid amalgamations of life and technology are simply outliers, and not a promise of tomorrows yet to come.
Page 6. The Ragged Valley Sprint. Many are lost to the shore's wayward ebb and flow. The shifting mass gives and takes, pulls and tears. The road beneath are ever certain, so tread carefully as other dangers distract. Death lingers, its group loose but present, waiting to take hold, waiting to embrace all who walk these tangled lanes. The Ragged Valley is long and harsh, and no valley at all, not by traditional definition. Its hollow length runs between a series of lashed asteroids on the shore's far western edge. They call the valley to be poetic, but in truth, it is simply the chaotic space between massive rocks that scrape and smash into one another in a violent dance. The distances from mass to mass ebb and flow without warning, a constant, deadly repositioning of the landscape. That ever-changing hollow is the valley. Only that and desperate would dare run its lengths, with one exception: Hyrax, the writer. The reason she made the run changes with the telling. You know, she is neither mad nor desperate with her skills on a pike and killer determination. But the run itself, it's as legend, as awe-inspiring as the Guardians, save the fact Hyrax is a wicked beast and better off dead, the story goes. She was running ether, or making off with lost Golden Age tech. Some say Clovis spray science, others tell it was drivers from a forgotten warmind. Or maybe she just dropped a Guardian and was running full throttle from a fire team set in revenge. A common theme this far out. Or was it pride? Did a captain or a Kel or an Archon challenge her ability to ride? Did Fick rule? After all, the relationship is complicated. None of that matters, not to me. Each version of the start is as interested as the next. But the run itself, her ride through the gnashing jaws of death, most Guardians who have heard it dismiss it, don't want to give credit to one so infamous. The scorned Baron with the blood on her hands, the loot in tow, and her burner set to top speed. But she deserves it. Don't believe me, ask Marcus Wren. He wasn't there that day, but he'd heard tell and couldn't believe. So he made the run himself. 4 goes, no dice, 1 resurrection, 4 straws busted to rubble. Marcus Wren, the Sparrow Racing League champion and hero to speed junkies and race hounds citywide, couldn't sprint that valley. Too random, he said, too chaotic, can't read the rock 1 minute to the next, can't read the angles. But he tried again, and on the 5th go he scraped through a narrow as the collision hit. He'd made it. The impossible was possible, though he refused to admit Hyrax could have done the same. Not that it mattered. That Ren had come out alive, it could be done, and if it could, why not Yavix? Not that Yavix ever cared for validation, not yours, not Ren's, not any Guardians, not any Fallens, not anyone's. She took pride in recognition from her brother and her sister Barons and no others.
Page 7. Truth Tinkered. Out here, they who craft their own fate see tomorrow, while they who depend on faith rarely make it through today. If you had not heard of the machinist before, know that others had. While her crimes may not live in infamy in the hearts of sea dwellers, the reef and its awoken know all too well her long reign of terror. Alycris, the bandit, they call her. Alycris, the scourge, the scorned machinist, tinker lord of a houseless crew. But should those names be new to your ears? There are others you trust who have felt the pain of her vile campaign. Ask your Eric of the machinist's deeds. Ask him about the siege of Aran, the hijacked ship, its stolen contents, and its guardian protectors lost or captured at the hands of the Scorn. Speak to your vanguard of the Sawless descent. More guardians fell, and an armory stripped of its cash. The lowly dreg who challenged tradition only to be cast aside. The lowly dreg who found her own strength in a troubling bond with the forsaken kin. She grew strong as an outcast, grew mean, then found her purpose with the guidance of a preacher of sorts and a new, more driven crew. Now then, the questions you must ask yourself. Had you known of the Baron's deeds, had you heard tell of the machinist's crimes, could you have changed the path tread from there to here? From yesterday to today? Better yet, your vanguard, your factions, your friends and allies, what all have they kept from you? If they spoke not of the scorned barons, if they issued no warning, is it because they simply did not see the full scale of the danger? Were they too distracted by wars within wars and interests of their own to issue the guidance needed for you to see the shore for the threat it has always been? Perhaps given guidance that may well have saved countless lives? Or at least one life in particular?
Page 8. An Evolution of Faith. Find your honor not in your station, nor the words and gifts of those who seek control, but in your actions, deeds, and soul. Look anywhere else is a lie. Fikrul was an Archon. Then Fikrul took a fall, beaten and docked, and bashed for heresies against Eliknis. Let me try it again. Then Fikrul took a fall, beaten, docked, and banished for heresies against Elixir faith. He should have died, alone and starved for precious ether. He did not. Instead, he found kin in the form of 7 scorned. With them, he found purpose and power. As their legends grew, he found believers and new faith. His banishment was not penance, it was reward for his convictions, for his courage. Fikrul, the crazed fanatic. Fikrul, the heretic Archon who spoke against the very faith he once held dear. Scorned and forgotten, but only for so long. Fikrul was a dreg. Before his banishment, before his clarity of purpose, Fikrul was a celebrated leader of fallen faith and a savior to those who embraced his teaching. Archons had long been elevated in fallen society, but their stature grew and their role shifted, falling to whirlwind. As desperation took hold and the last of the fallen raced across the stars in search of salvation, their dependence on machines evolved into deep-rooted need. Their weapons to fight, their ships to fly, their servitors to survive. That need became worship. That worship became faith. And the Archons, those who oversaw the care and consecration of the servitors, were looked upon to provide hope through their words, teachings, and interpretations of the machine's wants, needs, desires. But Fickrul saw another path, one that would later be mimicked and twisted by the techno-deviant splicers in the plague lands of Earth, while he and his explored their own darker interpretations of faith. Fickrul is a fanatic, scorned and abandoned. Fickrul is all who strive to regain strength of self and purpose. He is a survivor. He is the outcast priest of the broken plains, and his sermon is death and all the glory that follows. In Fickrul's eyes, and those of the outcasts who rallied to his philosophies, machines were not superior. They were not gods. They were tools, instruments to be mastered and controlled and manipulated in service of Elixir pride. None should grovel for ether. None should have their honor bound to the whims of manufactured deities. But the evolution of Fickrul's faith did not end there. If the machines, the very things that had regulated the whole of their existence, were tools, why not life itself? Why not death? There are many tales of the time between Fickrul's fall and his rise again as spiritual leader of the Scorned Barons. His struggle to find strength of a battered drag. His journeys across the system to challenge his faith. His joining with the other outcasts who were scorned, and his eventual union with his father. The only thing that matters, however, when confronting the dangers of Fickrul is this: he is a creature of faith. His faith is the antithesis of all who stand in the light. That faith has raised an army. That army will baptize all those who challenge its purpose in an unending sea of death. They will never stop. They will never give in, because they know they are right, and everything you stand for is wrong.
Page 9. A Scorned Path. Surviving is a whole lot easier when your enemies are dead. It was Hyrax, the machinist, who'd begun hoarding the servitors, and Rexus, the hangman, who slaughtered them at every turn. Two allies driven by opposing forces, one science and the unmaking of faith, the other rage and its relentless push to destroy. There had been long tension between the two, as Rexus had, more than once, slipped into the machinist's workshop to inflict himself on the servitors caged there. Fickrul, the fanatic, their spiritual leader and one-time Archon priest, watched patiently as their rivalry grew. He saw strength in their ire. He saw fire and fury, but also more, a new path forward. One that could join their passions and drive them further, a whole stronger than its warring parts. Fickrul waited, biding time as tensions rose and threatened to splinter the Baron's loyalties. Only when Hyrax could take no more, on a night when she caught the hangman prepared to slaughter her latest haul of lesser servitors, did Fickrul step in. Fickrul motioned to Hyrax and said, "Bring me a servitor." As Rexus hissed with anticipation, she hesitated, but Fickrul was patient. "Where is your trust?" Hyrax released a servitor from its bondage. Fickrul motioned the servitor closer, then turned to Hyrax. "You have gathered many machinists, hundreds, maybe more, our own supply, our life force fed by slaved mechanics." Hyrax nodded to the servitor as it inched closer to the Archon's open arms, welcoming the once revered orb as one would a child. The other barons began to bark, a rhythmic warrior's chant. "For all the value in your work, It is not enough to feed ourselves. Vickril hugged the servitor. There was a tenderness to the embrace, a sorrow. We must also starve our enemies, as you were once starved. With the blur, Vickril's lower arms unsheathed and triggered a pair of polished, sparkling shock blades. As were we all. The servitor still held with the clutches of the Archon's powerful upper arms, cried a shrill, digital wretch. Pain mixed with confusion as the blades carved its outer shell and plunged deep into the core of its system. Ether hissed and sprayed. Vickril released the machine's silent shell and it clanged lifelessly to the ground. He turned to Alicris. Do you see? Alicris smiled. She was ever the brightest among them, though her focus could lose clarity when she became frenzied. The Barons had long been trouble for the awoken and fallen of the reef, but that trouble had been limited to hit-and-run tactics. What Vickril had just presented was a new way. Vickril stepped to Rexys. Do you see? The brute barked in response. Kill them all. Vickril laughed. Not all, Hangman. Just the ones we do not need. The Barons cheered as Vickril continued. Every servitor, any servitor bound to a house is now a target, until none remain but those upon whom we feed.
Page 10. The Gift of Madness. The song of the grinding stone calls a painted... Oh, let me start over. The song of the grinding stone calls like pained sirens, shrill and uneven. Its melody is a warning, yet still they come. Adventurers, bounty hunters, scoundrels, and unwanted. Here they find purpose, or hide from those beyond. Or hide from those worlds beyond. Those polite lands which heroes strive to reclaim. There is no reclamation here. The shore is ever wild, and so shall it remain. Ever the broken land where madness dwells, and violence reigns. The question no one asks, was the bomber always mad, or was he driven to it? Was the madness a gift, or a curse? Did the struggle for survival outside the structure and ritual of the house system crack his mind? The things he'd seen, done, the shore asks much of those who call it home. Most simply find their and through the harsh will of these harsh lands, or by the hand of the hardened agents who stalk its fractured expanse, bandits, cutthroats, cannibals, awoken patrols, guardian heroes. There are a billion ways to die among the jagged wilds of the Tangled Shore. To challenge these odds is no small feat. To do so while maintaining self, rarer still. However, isn't it also possible the bomber was this all along? Mad, deranged, eager to inflict destruction, lustful for the chaos and death to follow. The seeding of the accretion fields, the bombing of the origin libraries, Canix's handiwork had been linked to numerous tragedies, both as a rogue enemy of the reef and in league with his scorned brothers and sisters, with whom he grew strong, with whom he had found the purpose he once lacked. These points, an examination of the birth of madness, I raised to address a lingering concern. Since the awoken libraries speak to the cryptarchs with knowledge of the reef, the shore. Scour the records of the bomber's deeds. Feel the pain of those who suffered the fire of his destruction. Remember the fields. Weep at the unimaginable loss when the libraries fell. Allow yourself the comfort of knowing the sinister creature is now dead and gone by guardian hand. But linger on victory's pride for only a short while. because the truth I seek to tell has yet to be revealed, and it is this. The Mad Bomber is dead. Panics is no more. Yet the shore remains ever untamed, despite valiant effort, despite your incredible strength. And if the shore remains tangled, its edges ever shifting, ever dire, then who else may it drive the madness? First long-lost survivors of the fabled Golden Age, then stray awoken and discarded fallen. Maybe next, the warriors of the light, guardians. After all, more will surely come, and with more, however righteous you may be, the odds shift further into the shore's favor, in the favor of madness. And if it is not another guardian, why not you?
Page 11. No heroes here. Every inch of ground beyond the city walls is dangerous, safety not guaranteed, and of all the inches across every world in this dead and dying system, none are harder than every single inch of the Tangled Shore. This is not simply untamed space, it's worse. It's outlaw territory where the worst of a bad lot come to find their fortune, ply their trade, or run from their sins. No one has ever walked the shore's broken stone has come back clean. Out here, you've gotta break the rules just to get by. Oh, your moral compass? You better hope it's on the fritz, 'cause doing the right thing will only get you killed. Unless you're strong enough to do it the wrong way. So, walk tall. The locals can sense the meek stand firm. Backing down will only see you trampled. And aim true. Each miss could be your last. Otherwise, go home. The shore ain't no place for heroes anyway.
Page 12. The Lonely and the Dead. Out here, the lonely fall in the company of those bound by the purest need. Survival. Find this truth, if not in your heart, in your mind. If not in your mind, then your soul. The deepest part of you that connects to the most basic truths. To live for tomorrow, you have to fight for today. Know this, understand it, live it. Find those like-minded survivors you can only look to as kin. Only then can survival be within reach, because to walk the shore unbound is to invite death.
Page 13. The sad story of Eldred Rush. I'll tell ya of Eldred Rush. He didn't come out this way looking for trouble. He ain't a fool neither. He knew trouble waited. He just didn't care. Couldn't, some would say. Eldred was a prospector of sorts, digging around these parts in search of memories he considered gold. He had a mission, personal and pure. Find the rock on which his people fell. Some tell that he was the first guardian to walk this deep. It's not true, but fits his tale and makes for a better legend. Lonely Eldred walked these lashed lands, cycle upon cycle, avoiding conflict when he could, but always hitting back when push came to shove. He was a gentle man, but violent when riled. Eventually, he found the spot where ancient survivors of an ancient collapse huddled and died. There, at the sight of all he had lost, in an old life that was long since beyond his grasp, Eldred buried the dead he could not remember, but felt in his heart. Never saw Eldred again. No one did.
Page 14. Gotta do more than shoot. A lot of things to consider when sizing up a gunfight. Most just focus on steely eyes and steady nerves, and those have value, but the best of slingers weigh so much more. The light in the sky or lack thereof, the temp and the breeze, how cool, how warm, which direction is the wind hitting, and how hard. Further still, the ground beneath your boots, is it solid or soft, shifting or slick, all elements that speak to the moment of truth. The wear of the holster, the feel of the grip. But first and foremost, the best slinger will say never pick a fight with unfamiliar tools. Unless the situation dictates an unavoidable outcome, or in those instances when honor becomes a calling.
And that's the end. Any comments, Colby?
Yep.
So, in the Forsaken campaign, we do kill, well, we kill all of the barons, right?
Yes.
But with the trickster, I'm wondering, do we actually kill her? Given with what we just read?
That's... I still feel like we did, because if you remember the mission that we killed her, she had holograms of herself everywhere. And then herself actually being there.
Well, on page 3 it says, did you kill her? And if you did she die? If the answer is yes, her trap is set.
Yeah, also if you remember in some of the later missions, your ghost brings up, oh, this trap was set by the trickster. Was it? Our ghost said that? Someone said that. But...
Probably the ghost, yeah.
She had lots of traps everywhere, like for one, the explosive engrams.
Yeah.
Etc., etc. But yeah, I still feel like she is dead. And if she's not, she's doing a really good job fighting.
Well, I mean, she's a trickster.
I know.
I think she would be pretty good at hiding. With all of the trouble she has caused. But, not only is she good with these traps she has set and laid, but also said here that she is very good with words as well.
Yeah.
So if she is alive, would it be possible that we may actually see her back?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Going with that, maybe? I don't know, the scorn have been kind of coming back into relevance again, more or less.
Yeah.
So it's the Dead Man's Tale, all that.
Yeah. That's one of the books I'm excited to get into. But yeah, the scorn, really in gameplay wise, we've only seen them and did anything with them with the Forsaken expansion. But with this current season of the Lost, we do have a little bit of the scorn. We do have to deal with them a bit.
Yes.
Which then kind of leads me to my kind of next question or thing. So Fickrol, the fanatic, he basically creates the scorn now, right? He's the one that creates the scorn. He creates the scorn from all of the fallen that we have killed. It says that in one of the missions.
Short explanation, yes.
So now that Fickrell is dead after we kill him in that strike. Now with Season of the Lost, who is creating all these scorn now that Sivu Arath is now using?
I'm gonna take the easy way out and just say the darkness. Honestly, no.
That's another thing. So Fickrell, his scepter, I think he used that scepter to create the scorn.
Yeah.
So, question number 1. What is that big blue crystal on his scepter? Is that kind of like a solidified piece of ether that he somehow created, or Uldren gifted him that he's now using to make the scorn from dead fallen? Is that what it is? Because Fickrell, he told us that Father, Uldren Sov, gave him the ability to create the scorn. So I'm wondering if Uldren Sov gifted him that scepter, which then creates the scorn.
Honestly, I think we learn that in a later book, in the darkness side. Under the Forsaken Prince.
Probably, yeah. And then my other question is, where is that scepter now?
Gone.
I mean, we did actually destroy it. We only killed Fickrell.
Or
and
did
we just left it there. So now I'm thinking if one of Sivu Arath's, I would say, attendants snatched up the scepter, since the Hive were there thanks to the Mindbender.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you have the prison. What was it called?
Of Elders?
Yeah, Prison of Elders. Prison of Elders fell, and there was Hive on that Prison of Elders as well. Maybe one of them was one of Sivu Arath's Hive, and brought it to him.
I don't know.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Another thing that I kind of hope that we get to see and maybe read more about is Eldred Rush.
I don't think there's any other mention of him. Same with C.C. Lagrange. There is no other mention of him.
Yeah. Well, with Eldred Rush, he was... Well, apparently he wasn't the first Guardian to walk the shore. Mm-hmm. But Eldred Rush, this was during, like, the Dark Ages, right? During the collapse?
It's more towards the time of the city, but yeah, more or less.
Yeah. So...
Because Marcus Wren is also a well-known Guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Racer.
So... It's kind of... I would like to kind of learn more about the some of the history of the shore. what happened to Eldred Rush? Who were the people that died there, the survivors? That were all huddled up?
Probably not relevant to the story at all, honestly.
Well, that was in the story of Eldred Rush.
I know, I just meant like for our story, it's
No.
probably not relevant.
Yeah.
And it
Probably.
probably meant something.
But this book was mainly talking about the shore and some of the stories of the barons.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like we're not gonna see anything else of Eldon or these people, but maybe CC Lagrange saying that this entire book was translated by him.
Yeah, because it was a fallen text that Lagrange translated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that's really it.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Yeah, most of these are very self-explanatory.
Yeah. Now, if I remember correctly, Forsaken right now, that expansion is currently free on Steam, right?
I don't know how that sucks.
I think they made it free for Steam.
I know they got rid of the entire Forsaken expansion and they just turned it into a pack recently.
So you automatically get when you download Destiny.
I don't know if you... I think they just changed how the pack is, but I don't know if you... I don't know.
I thought I saw something at the beginning of November that they were making Forsaken for free, since most of the Forsaken campaign is on the Tangled Shore, and that's going away with the Witch Queen.
Oh, I think it's just the campaign that's free now. It's just not any other content.
Really?
Yeah. Because the Forsaken pack is for when Forsaken's gone. You can still get access to the Forsaken weapons, the Burning City, if that's still locked behind Forsaken.
Let's see here. Steam is kind of being a friend with me right now, so I'll have Kilroy, the one who's editing, will bring that up and give some clarity to that. Alright. Nothing else to add?
Nope.
Alright. We will see you guys, or you guys will hear us in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.